Greetings, YouTube. My friend Jan has sent me another postcard. And this is question 5 out of 57 because, well, 57 is in my channel name. And this one is related to, specifically to tabletop role-playing games. It says, you may transform into one playable ancestry in Pathfinder. Which one, if any? So, I'm going to be using Pathfinder 1st Edition because it's my preferred version of the game. I wasn't particularly impressed with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, like I wasn't particularly impressed with 5th Edition when it comes to fantasy. I actually think 5th Edition has got some pretty solid rules for science fiction. But for me, it just seems too much of a padded playpen. And Pathfinder 2nd Edition feels like a walled garden, not quite as bad as 5th Edition. My 1st edition is not only more to my liking, but it's also completely backwards compatible with 3.5, which is useful if you would like to use some 3.5 features in your Pathfinder 1st edition game. For example, there is a feat called Extra Ring, which is not in Pathfinder 1st edition, but because it's backward compatible, it would be usable so long as you had GM permission. And Extra Ring is a feat that if you have the Forge Ring meta magic ability feat, and you have a certain number of ranks in knowledge arcana or spellcraft, I can't remember which one it is, like fifth, you have to have 5 ranks, it lets you wear 4 rings instead of 2. And that makes perfect sense to me. That is an investment of a feat and of skill ranks. Makes perfect sense that you have specialized in rings, you can wear 4 rings instead of 2 rings. I find nothing wrong with that. I do not think it's overpowered. You have invested character resources in being good with rings. Let the person be good with rings. Okay, so that's one of the reasons that I like Pathfinder 1st Edition. Now, so I thought about this a bit, and I came up with a decision, and it actually wasn't too difficult for me to do this. And this is from the Dreamscarred Press's Psionics Unleashed, which is, quite frankly, the best Psionics rules I've ever read, and I still think the best spell point system that I've ever seen. So you could completely strip this of its psionic characteristics and use it as a spell point system, and I still think it would be well worth your time. And what I'm choosing is the species Elan. It's E-L-A-N, and I've always pronounced it Elan. I don't know if anyone pronounces it Elan. I pronounce it Elan. This seems a little classier to me. And there's a number of reasons I chose this. One, they can look like any species because they are a manufactured species. They are not born into the world. They are chosen by some committee, and then they are essentially given a symbiote, which then fuses with them. And they are not a dual species, kind of like the Star Trek, what is it, the Dax was one of them. I can't remember what they're called. So it's not just a person riding in a body. No. You are now one being. It just happens to be that you come into existence as an Elan when you fuse this thing with your core race. And in my case, I would choose me. But because this is a fresh build, I'm just going to assume that I'm coming out of this situation in a generic James body, which means, one, without all my goddamn disabilities, which would be awesome. Now, some of my disabilities, which are cognitive, are going to be able to be explained by this species in question, and I'm going to tell you why. But another reason I chose Elan, not just because I would not have to change my appearance and I could continue to blend in with society at large, but because they don't age. So all of the things I've lost, like muscle mass and things, wouldn't have happened. You accrue no penalties to age because you don't age. Once you've achieved adulthood, or the age you are when you are turned into an Elan, that's it. You just don't age. So I don't have to worry about dying of old age. And that is something I think is really damn cool. So now we're going to look at their actual statistics. Now there are a number of more powerful species you could have taken. This one is balanced with against the other core species ancestries. But there are many ones that are much more powerful than this, but almost all of them don't look human. And since I'm thinking of this Jan is asking me, I'd be living here. So yeah, I'm going to want to blend in. And this way I don't have to blend in because I'm already here. I've already blended in. And just the fact that I have autism, I've been faking being a regular human for years anyway. So the first thing you get is a +2 bonus to any one ability because it comes from the variety of different ancestries you had before you became an Elan. So this is very similar to how humans get their bonus. Now, because I'm creating this, and it's my fantasy, Jan didn't put any Jan didn't put any stipulations on me. I'm going to choose an epic fantasy point buy. Okay, so that's 25 points, and I'm going to link below to not only this article online reference to this species, but as well as a point buy calculator in case you'd like to play with it yourself. And so I'm going to choose 25 point buy, and I'm going to choose to have an 18 intelligence, a 10 strength, and everything else is going to be a 12. Okay? I'm going to be slightly above average in many things and very, very smart, and put my +2 into intelligence, which means I now have a 20 intelligence. And that's also important for what this species is really geared towards. Okay? So, secondly, you are a humanoid with aberrant blood that you're subtype. So I'm not purely a human anymore. I am a humanoid with aberrant characteristics. I am medium, normal speed. I am aberrant nature, although human in appearance, though it could be other backgrounds. Elans suffer from a nature slightly off from the rest of the non-Elan society. They suffer a -1 penalty to charisma-based skill checks when dealing with non-Elans. Now, as autistic, I've been suffering under that my whole goddamn life anyway. And because I've got a 12 charisma, that's a race, because that's a +1. So I would be doing better off as an aberrant than I do now, because at least I wouldn't have any penalties against me. The naturally psionic. Elans gain the Wild Talent feat as a bonus feat at first level. If an Elan takes a level in psionic class, she instead gains the Psionic Talent feat, and I would be doing this. Resistance. Elans can use psionic energy to increase their resistance to various forms of attack. As an immediate action, an Elan can spend 1 power point to gain a +4 racial bonus to saving throws until the beginning of her next action. So, because I'm, even at a first level character, even if I weren't a psionic class, and I would choose to be one, but if I were, I would still have power points. So I could still spend that under normal circumstances, even if I was playing a fighter or a cleric or a bard that wasn't a psionic character. Resilience. When an Elan takes damage, he can spend power points to reduce the severity. As an immediate action, he can reduce the damage he is about to take by 2 points for every 1 power point he spends. So you could save your own ass if you have power points around and you don't want to be killed by a massive blow, which is something that is a danger to lots of characters until they are very high level. And even high level characters can still be killed with a huge amount of damage at one moment. And this means you can reduce that to the point where you're not going to have to worry about it. Repletion. An Elan can sustain his body without need of food or water. He spends 1 power point. An Elan does not need to eat or drink for 24 hours. Kinda cool. Psionic aptitude. When an Elan takes a level in a favorite class, he can choose to gain an additional power point instead of a hit point or a skill point. Now, I would still be taking the skill rank. Skill ranks to me are super important if I were going to be playing a character in the real world, because skill ranks are so goddamn versatile. Having that extra power point is not going to be worth it, seeing as I'm starting out of the gate with a 20 intelligence. I already get bonuses for that. So I would be taking skill ranks every single day. And I'd be running a straight Scion class, so I would not have to worry about multitasking. Elans, begin play speaking Common. Elans with a high intelligence score can choose any language they accept secret languages, such as Druidic. So I would start out the gate. My real world version of Common is English, so I would then be able to choose 5 languages because I have a 20 intelligence. Okay, and that would be life-changing for me. Okay? I would also make sure that every single level I took a rank in linguistics, so that I would always be getting another one. I want to be able to be very, very versatile, because a lot of those ones I'd be choosing would be languages from a fantasy world, because eventually I'm getting my ass to Galarian. Now, the class I would choose in this case would be the Scion Telepath, because that is incredibly powerful in the real world. It is not showy, but it lets you control people. It lets you read their minds. It lets you learn their secrets. It means puts you into a position where you have a whole hell of a lot of power if you use it well. It also means you can help dig out corruption and make sure that the people who shouldn't be in power aren't. And that really appeals to me. There are going to be a whole lot of Republicans that are going to rue the day that I became a Scion Telepath. So that is what I would choose. And so I would like to thank my friend Jan for proposing this question. I think it was pretty damn cool. And I think you should do the same thing. So within Pathfinder, first or second edition, you choose. Pick an ancestry that you would like to be in this world. That's what a stipulation I'm throwing in. Jan didn't specify that, but I'm throwing that one in there. So you could choose a dwarf. You could get by on a dwarf. You couldn't get by with an elf. That's going to be something that's going to be harder to pass off. You probably can't get by with a half-orc either. But there are ancestries that you could probably get away with in our world that you could reasonably say they're human. Human is a broad category. I mean, we've got people in the world who are 3 feet tall, people in the world who are 8 feet tall. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of range in colors and sizes and shapes and things. And so there are species and ancestries in Pathfinder, I think, that could make the cut. I just choose one that is the easiest to slide under the radar, which is just remaining me. Just a better version. All right, so let's talk about the things that we become if we choose a Pathfinder ancestry, and like I said, choose a class to go with it.